I can't remember the last time that we were able to start with the happy news story music and start the night with happy news story music and start with a happy story. This is we highlighted this on Saturday during happy hour. And we've had this amazing interview. Steve and Charla reached out to us, and we had a chance to talk to them about what they were doing. And with that, Jennifer, I'm going to roll the interview and you and I can unpack it.
Okay.
We're with Steve and Charla with Find a COVID Shot Washington, a Facebook group that popped up a week ago and already has over 10,000 followers. The reason that this site has been created is because navigating and getting onto the list to just get the COVID vaccine in the state of Washington is an incredibly difficult challenge. And with that, I would like to thank both Charla and Steve for joining me today. Charla, Steve, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks
for having us.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about the genesis of this idea?
The idea came a few weeks ago. My sister Charla is high risk, and so we were having conversations around kind of planning, to make sure that she got vaccinated. And in that process, we really started to discover that individuals that are the highest risk are having huge problems accessing vaccine appointments. And so we decided that instead of trying to, figure out our own vaccine situation and schedule our own appointments, that we would focus on those who are highest at risk. So that's, that could be the elderly, medically fragile, and we have a special focus on the BIPOC community, primarily just because they are highest risk.
If we look at Washington State, of course, was the first state in the country to have a COVID case. We were the first state in the country to experience a COVID death. We were the first state in the country to experience rapid community spread that was on the brink of getting out of control. And if we look at the state of Washington's response to COVID, when we get to about the middle of March to where we are today, many leaders point to our state as this is an example on how to handle things properly, full stop. If we look at how Washington State has been implementing the vaccine rollout, most experts are saying it's about the worst way to possibly do it. Could you talk about that a little bit?
One of the challenges is that there wasn't a unified approach across all of the states. Just even in the scheduling software that was used, there's a variety of different ones that are used. And so I think the challenge becomes when you don't have that consistency, you also don't have the ability to replicate processes across the states, right? Because the intake measures are different, the identifications of customers, the storage of data, the handling of personally identifiable information, it's all different in all of these systems. As a state, about 3% right now in terms of vaccine rollout. And hopefully that'll continue to go up.
Charlotte, it's my understanding that you have some health issues that makes you particularly susceptible to COVID. Is that something you want to talk about?
I have a couple of different health conditions that kind of compound together and actually put me at extraordinarily high risk for COVID. I am currently not eligible for the vaccine, which I'm okay with because obviously there are much higher risk people ahead of me in line. And I think that's part of why we wanted to start this group is I was feeling anxious about me being able to get a vaccine when it's my turn. But then I was looking at these individuals that are even more at high risk. I mean, there's still healthcare workers that haven't been vaccinated properly.
What would you say are the three biggest challenges that people that are eligible for vaccines are facing in trying to get on the list?
I think that one of the main challenges is that there's no centralized appointment making system. So each vaccination site is using a different sign up process, different eligibility criteria, and different links that you have to click on. So you can't just go to one centralized system, type in your zip code, and it shows you which sites have vaccines available or appointments available. No such thing exists right now.
We as a group, our primary focus is to train and enable individuals to do as much of this as they can. We ask people not to share personal information with us wherever possible. We want to also train people on how to use that technology. So in the future, if they need to, log onto that website and make an appointment, maybe it's going to be for a vaccine in the future or a booster or their second appointment. We really want to kind of train them to be able to do that. So that's That's our first priority. It's really important to our group that we keep vaccine distribution equitable. And part of that is preserving the supply that's intended for that region. There's sort of an entire trend called vaccine tourism, where you have people going from, Bothell, down to Vancouver to try and get a vaccine because they're just so worried, and, they're fearing for their life, and they're willing to travel any distance. But the challenge is that then that takes away from somebody in that community. And while the vaccine rollout has been challenging, the inventory that was assigned for that community has now been deprecated by somebody in a totally different community, and now there's an extra one in Bothell.
If somebody is watching this and they have a loved one who falls into these populations that are currently eligible to get a vaccination, what are 3 things that somebody could do to help them get on the list?
First thing that everybody should do is go to the Find Your Phase tool that the Department of Health has created and identify where do you fall in the phased criteria, showing mom or dad or friend or family how to access our Facebook group and how to get a search put in place. We have a process. We try to make it as self-service as possible, so it's not requiring human interaction. And then we have a team of volunteers that focus on minority communities, high-risk communities, and really special cases. The one thing I'll note is that we don't have any inside information. We're not connected to any resource that tells us anything in advance. And in fact, we've had individuals try and post that sort of thing in the group, and we remove it immediately.
If English isn't somebody's primary language, or they don't speak English at all, if they come into that group or have a loved one that's supporting them in that group, what kind of services are available to them?
But we have an entirely separate page specifically that's private, specifically for our volunteers and to support them. We have handpicked volunteers intentionally that are part of the BIPOC community, speak multiple languages. So right now, I believe we have about 10 different languages that we support, that we have individuals that are fluent, not just can get by with speaking that language, but are absolutely fluent in that language. And they are available to help. So on our page, when you ask for help, we do request that you mention your primary language that you speak.
Charla, Steve, I want to thank you for your time. I know you are incredibly busy trying to serve the community. I also know that a lot of media organizations have been reaching out to you. So we deeply appreciate you coming onto our show and telling us about the great work that you're doing.
Thanks very much for having us.
Thanks for having us.
I think that deserves hearts.
Yes, definitely.
It's a great story.
Yes, it is.
Mods, admins, if you could drop the link, findacovidshot.org into the chat, then people have access to that link. So again, something to clarify, because I was reading your comments as they were going by, and I also jumped in and was chatting with some people. This isn't an issue of trying to find people who can actually do the injections. This is an issue of just finding a vaccination in the first place.
Yep. Yeah. And I think it's, sorry, I need more coffee. I think it's really a good thing that they have numerous volunteers that are fluent in multiple languages rather than just being familiar or able to understand and communicate a little bit. That fluency is such a big thing because I can only imagine the frustration of, going to do something not engaging speaks your primary language very well, probably cause confusion. But this is such a good service, and I'm so thrilled that we actually get to start with the story tonight.
Yeah, we haven't started with the feel-good story. We really haven't had much of a feel-good story in about 6 or 8 weeks. So it's really good to start with something that's feel good. The other thing is, if you're like, wow, if you speak fluently in a foreign language, go ahead and contact us. You can go ahead and send an email to tips@malcontentment.com. The reason I'm saying just don't go to them, that I'm not trying to be a firewall to this. They have languages that are covered, and we know languages that we're looking for, and they are seriously working practically 24 hours 7 right now running this program. So we're just trying not to create some noise. But it is an area where you can volunteer. If you are fluent both in reading and writing in some particular languages, go ahead and contact us, tips@malcontentment.com, and we can go ahead and channel that if you want to volunteer there. The other thing is follow that advice. Get yourself onto the state site. And if you have a loved one that is eligible for the shot, check in with them, because they may not have the technology or may not understand how, say, to take a picture of their driver's license to go ahead and submit the information.
Yeah, no, and it's been so nice the last couple of weeks. We've had a couple of really good feel-good stories about people helping other people get signed up for COVID vaccines. And I think this is one of the ways in which this is kind of community building and outreach is one of the ways we're going to get more people vaccinated.
Absolutely. And Jennifer, thank you for the great conversation as always. And with that, we're going to do a little pause for the cause. And then we are going to come back to our next segment.
Okay.
Black Coffee is a hub for communities and a hub for meeting people, making friends, and understanding.
What Black Coffee is to me is a place to actually call home, a place where Black youth will feel welcomed, where Black families will come and feel like they're at home.
What we're trying to build is more than just coffee. Community is something that we do naturally. We know who's in the community, we know what the deficits are, and we're trying to fix that. We want to bring people together.
My hope is that the phrase grounded in excellence shows up everywhere and that it becomes a movement.
I'm looking forward to hanging out at Black Coffee with my friends and feeling safe.
Black coffee to me means opportunity for people like me and my other friends and family to come here and do homework safely and hang out and stuff like that.
That is happening. It is happening.
Black Coffee Northwest is located in Shoreline, Washington on Highway 99 between 180th and 170th. Their hours are a little flexible, so I've become reluctant to go, and they're open, but they are open Monday through Saturday. And what we've been advising people to do is to check on their website or their Facebook page to see what their hours are. And the coffee is amazing. If you have never had coffee from Africa, you do not know what you're missing. It will change your entire view of coffee. And Jennifer, you know that I wouldn't be complete if I didn't call out the potato scones. Get a potato scone.
I know. I still have got to go get one for my kid so I can live vicariously through him and he can explain how it tastes to me because, the whole vegan thing. One of these days I'm going to make it out there.
You need to get up there. I know it's a little, you're in the city and it's a little bit of a trek up there, but it is totally worth it. Just practice your social distancing and all. And look, I don't want to hurt anybody's business or anything, but my personal view, get it to go.